Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. And if you're here for a second, third, or fourth time, thank you so much for coming back and getting creative. All right, guys, it's going to be another fun painting today. So grab your supplies, transfer your traceable to your surface, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now, those of you that want to draw what you see, you'll be able to pause the video here, draw what you see, and then move on to the painting. Those of you that utilize the traceable just jump right into painting the background. And we are starting with that large flat brush, demonstrating a few different brush strokes to try. But we're going to start with a light raw sienna, and that is white with a little bit of raw sienna. And as you can see here, I'm mixing it multiple times as I fill up the space around the crab. And this is actually good practice for my beginner painters. So don't feel like you have to mix a huge pile of this color. Your brain's actually taking in a lot of information each time that you mix this color. And if it happens to be a little lighter or darker than the last time that you mixed the color, that's okay. Because once we fill in this whole space with this light raw sienna, we're going to start adding some shading and doing some wet on wet blending. And like I said earlier, each time you mix color, your brain is taking in that information and it'll be easier the next time that you go to mix that color. So be kind to yourself as you're in the beginning stages of your creative exploration. Now, if you happen to be on a stretched canvas, I do recommend that you carry this color around each of the sides and the tops and the bottom. That way it just looks really nice when you hang it on the wall and have the color wrap around the edge. Now, another thing to note, I am using student grade paint, so I'm applying it a little bit thicker, and that's going to help for some of the blending that we're going to do right here. So I did move down to the medium flat brush, and we're going to start to put some shadows in this sand. So we're using the direct raw sienna. I'm going to slap it in a few places, and they are going to go in to the bottom and a little bit to the left of the crab to kind of give a little bit of shading on the sand. So I want you to just observe where I place it and then wipe the brush off and go back with these little cross hatching or little dots, dabbing marks, and you're going to mix that raw sienna into that base of the light raw sienna. And you'll notice that the more that you kind of move your brush, the more the two kind of mix together. And I am going to go in with one more darker shadow after this, but I want you to just kind of play with it. There's no perfect way for mixing your paint. You're just going to find your groove with it. And then if you need to, you can reapply that raw sienna and put it in a few other places on the sand. I do want you to trust your instincts as you do this. If you're inclined to put it somewhere I do not, go right ahead and do that. So now we're actually going to add a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of black. A little bit of pigment will go a long way. And again, just observe the place that I put this, then wipe that brush off so that way you're wiping off any excess pigment. And then same thing, you're just going to make these little cross hatching marks, these little X marks or little dots, and squish this into that base paint. And what you're noticing with this is that a little bit of pigment goes a long way to mix in. A little bit of dark pigment actually goes a long way to mix into the base that you're mixing it in. All right, so this is a good place to pause the video, take your progress photo, and I do recommend letting this fully dry before you move into this next step. And we're using that medium flat brush. We're going to make a medium blue, and that is going to be about equal parts white and blue. And we're going to fill in the main shell of the crab, the main body of the crab. And then we'll put a little bit more of the direct blue for all the legs and the pinchers, and then we'll do some wet on wet blending on the top of the crab shell. So again, welcome to switch out colors if you want to, but you're going to fill that whole place in, the whole shell, and then we're going to move down to that direct blue. And I'm still using that medium flat brush, but if you need to switch to the small pointy brush, go right ahead and do that. And we're going to put this blue on each of the legs and basically just kind of having a darker, darker color compared to the body of the crab. And I like using that middle flat brush just because then I can use the brush kind of sideways, and with a little bit more pressure, I can fill in kind of that whole width of the leg. So if you're inclined to play with some of the pressure of your brush, try using that middle flat brush and using it sideways. Like I said earlier, with all the mixing of your paint. Each time that you do it, your brain's taking in that information and remembering it for next time. Same with your brush pressure. The more that you just get comfortable with it, the more your muscles know what to do without having to think too much. And here you can see I did switch down to the small pointy brush just to kind of demonstrate that you can use that as well. And with that brush, you're also going to be playing with the pressure. I do encourage all of my students to find creative outlets on a regular basis, just because you get more comfortable with more practice. And one of the other things that you'll notice while you paint is that you kind of forget about the rest of the world for a little bit. You are pretty much fully focused on just your painting, and that's kind of a nice mental break from your daily stresses or your work or family life or friends or, basically wherever your stress is coming from. It's nice to focus on something else and just escape it for a little bit. And hopefully, kind of realizing that for yourself, you will start adding more creative outlets in your life just to kind of keep your life balanced, and give you more energy as you go back to your everyday life. All right, so this is looking good. If you are holding your breath, remember to take a deep breath and just have fun, enjoy, embrace your inner 5-year-old, your inner kindergartner. And here we're going to put some shading on. So I'm going for that purple. I'm not using actually any black in this painting, so I am using the purple just to kind of add to the blue. And we're doing that same just kind of wet on wet blending method. It is kind of just, again, indicating where the shadows are. And then we'll put some on the shell here. We'll wipe that brush off and then kind of blend it in. So as you go along this painting, and really any of my paintings, you are strengthening your power of observation. You're observing where I place something on the screen or on my canvas, and then you're mimicking that to the best of your ability on your canvas. And that's a big part of art, is just learning to observe what you see and see what you're capable of. All right, so now we're going to grab some light blue, and basically, since I had a nice pile of the medium blue there, I just added some white to the edge. But if you need to start fresh, pull some of that white aside, and a tiny amount of blue will make your light blue. And then same thing, we're putting it in a few specific areas on the crab and then wiping that brush off and blending it into the base. I do recommend that you do this painting kind of quick, so that way you can do some of this blending, and it just kind of gets you out of the comfort of trying to look for something perfect. This is kind of an impressionistic style painting, but we all will recognize it as a crab. All right, so this one's optional. I'm throwing some red in there just because I like extra colors, and it gives a little bit of a different depth on top of the blue. So again, if you don't want to add it, you don't have to, but just observe where I'm kind of placing it. These are little dot and dash marks, nothing to kind of overthink on the process, and it still gives some nice depth to our crab. And just kind of cleaning up a few areas with that direct blue. I missed a few spots on the canvas and it was showing through. So feel free to grab any color that you may need, or anything extra that you want to do. Trust your instincts. You can accessorize your crab as much as you want. All right, so we have to give him some eyes. So we're actually doing a mixture of blue and purple. And we're going to put a few little circles just to indicate where his eyes are. You could make them big and cartoony, or you can keep them kind of small like this. And then just using some of that residual paint on my brush to add it to a few areas. Again, trust your instincts for where you might want to put anything extra on your painting. All right, so now still using that small pointy brush, we're using that pure white, giving the eyes some catch lights, and then just a few random highlights on the shell of the crab and on his legs. Again, just observe where I place them, as well as trusting your own instincts if you're inclined to put something somewhere I do not put it. Most of my videos are just a base guideline. I really enjoy it when my students just kind of take it in their own direction and have a lot of fun and really just kind of get lost into the process of painting. All right, so a good place to pause the video. You can leave it as is, or I kind of wanted something in the top left corner, so I'm going to put a little hint of the waves, the water coming through. So we're going to start with kind of a medium light blue, just putting it in the corner, painting right on top of the background, and that's kind of the nice thing about acrylic paint. Then we'll grab some of that dark blue, give it a little bit of a shadow. So again, feel free to add this to yours or not. And then I'm going to clean that brush really good. We're going to use pure white paint, and I'll be holding the brush kind of perpendicular to the canvas to kind of create the little foam white caps. Something to note, I did let this dry before I put the white on there, because if you did this on top of the wet blue paint, your white paint will not stay white anymore. So great job today. I look forward to what you guys send me, the photos of what you paint, and until next time, cheers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of painting and I hope you are happy with how your paintings turned out. I'm really proud of you for getting creative. As you're uploading these to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy or email me your pictures paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. I really enjoy seeing them. I try to post them on social media to encourage other beginner painters to try the process of painting. But please share this with your community as well. Anybody who is kind of scared to paint, share your experience with them and let them know kind of how much you benefited from it and how much you enjoyed the process. So kind of share the fun. With that being said, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, things that you want me to paint in the future, please leave a comment. I try to respond to everybody as quickly as I can. And any of the future suggestions for paintings, I add that to my production list and get to them as quickly as I can. So in the meantime, please keep getting creative. Let me know how you're doing. And until next time, cheers.